Hey everybody, Barry here again, and today we have wideband sensor. So this is the AEM wideband air fuel ratio gauge, kit that I had on the rat rod. And since I'm going back to a regular bone stock 5.3 in the rat rod, I'm going to be putting this kit on the Cadillac. Since this is a daily driver, my wife's rig, I want to put the sensor somewhere where it won't be visible out here. I'm not going cutting holes in the dash or taking out the clock because that's really cool and it works well. So what I'm thinking is take out this trap door cover here, if I can get it out. And what I'll do is drill the hole down through the floor here, which is just above the transfer case, and my wiring will go down through there, so I don't have to go routing it all the way through the interior everywhere. And I can put the sensor in this door cover. So when you look down here, all you'll see is just a sensor. And I won't have an issue with reading it because I'm going to wire it through the EGR port, and then I'll just be able to log it on the HP tuner. And when I get everything all tuned with the mass air, then I can basically forget about it unless I have issues in the future, and then I can just log it and see what the air fuel ratio is. So I don't have my hole saw kit here. I'll just cut the hole in this later, but I'll go ahead and get the wiring done and hook the gauge up. Don't know how the drill won't fit. Oh God, I hate this. All right, we got our hole drilled right here. It's just above the transmission tail shaft, so it's lots of room there for wiring to go. No problem at all up there. Right there. So then we'll run the wires through. All right, so I got this one here pulled up through the floor. This is the plug-in for the sensor, and got it pulled up through, so that's fine. I don't mean to be skipping steps or anything, but it under the vehicle is too tight, you can't see anything, and there's no sense looking at blurry parts and under, so I went ahead and did it. And here's the wiring for the gauge itself. This plugs into the back of the gauge, and we have 3 wires. Well, this one here is disconnected. I can't remember what that was for anyway, but I got it tied off, you can see. This is the 5-volt reference. We're going to plug this into the 5-volt reference on the EGR. We'll show you how to do that after. And this is just power and ground for the sensor, or sorry, for the gauge to turn it on. So this wire here is only about 4 feet long or so, and it's definitely not going to be long enough. So I dug through my scrap wire pile and I found this. This is perfect. It has 4 wires, even though I'm only going to be using 3, but it's sheathed the whole way, the whole length. That's why I never throw wiring away. Always something. You got yellow with white, brown and black, red and green. So I got the ends cut off of these wires, of course, and I'll solder them onto the other end. And here are our 2 connectors for the gauge. So I'll feed this down here, maybe tuck some of it inside, and all you're going to see is the gauge, so it's going to look really nice. So now that we got our wire ran, got to do the underhood work. So I took off the top cover and routed the wiring in under it. So I've got the yellow wire singled out way back in the harness because I'd like for it to tie off here. I went under the cover and tie into our EGR wire. So now we're going to wire this yellow wire into the EGR 5-volt reference, which, if I can get this cover off, you could see that it's the middle wire. This one doesn't want to unsnap, but anyway, so right there, right where the little round dot thing is on the plug-in. So we're going to cut that one out, strip the wiring back a little bit, and join it. That's our 5-volt reference. That's going to give us the data we need to log it on the HP tuner. Right, so we can see it better here. We got a red and what looks to be a gray, and we have this brown in the middle. This is one we got to cut here. I don't mind about cutting it right up at the connector because this thing is never going to have EGR again. And we'll just connect these 2 together. So I have the positive and negative hooked up. I ran it to the same ground that I use for the electric fans, and that goes into the harness up here. And the power wire goes up here and piggybacks off of another fuse. So let's do a test. I don't have anything hooked up yet, no sensor in it, but turn the key on and it loads up, and turn the key off and it shuts off. So that's successful. I just got to put the sensor in now. I've got the wideband sensor put in here. This is factory location for number 2, say downstream sensor. And I've got it hooked up here. Ran up to the floor, up through. And here we can see how much wire we have left over. This is a lot of wire. So I'm gonna sort of stog it all down that little cubby hole there, zip tie it together, and then you won't see any wire in the cover. All right, we got the sensor in. Gauge is all hooked up. We'll start it up and see what happens. It's reading. Geez, the idle's really nice. A little bit on the rich side, but it's a cold start, so we gotta expect that. Okay, so we have data on the sensor or the gauge. Now I'll hook up the laptop and see if that works. And we're at sort of mid-high 16s, which doesn't really surprise me because I've got a free-flowing exhaust on it. I just changed the intake pipe. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But I did put a little bit of fuel in it a little while ago, so it shouldn't be that lean, but I'll scale the mass air now, and that'll be pretty much it. All right, I set up a wideband air-fuel ratio error chart, and it looks like right across the board we're lean. This is say 8-9% lean. So I'll go in and use those cells to richen up the air fuel a little bit. All right, so that's it for another video. Today I got the water pump changed, electric fan conversion done, and the 160-degree thermostat put in, and also hooked up the wideband. So it's been a pretty productive day, but I'm hungry, so I'm gonna go home and get something to eat. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for watching.